So today we're going to take a look at how Sentinels got eliminated from VCT Stage 2 and maybe for the entire year as well, depending on how other teams do in this stage. They might not even make it to last chance qualifiers for the World Championships either, which could mean that this was the last meaningful game that they play all year, which would be quite the shock. And then if Sentinels don't make franchising either, this could be the last meaningful game, you know, Sentinels play in Valorant for some time potentially. And so let's take a look at how it happened, and they are going to kick themselves for this loss because it was so close on both maps, and yeah, let's just take a look at some of the clips. But it wasn't all bad, you know. For it to be close on both maps, you have to play relatively well. You know, you didn't get dominated or anything, so it wasn't all bad by any stretch of the means. They just will kick themselves for the way they lost some of these rounds. But let's start with a good round number 7 here, and Sentinels are on the attack, Faze are on the defensive side. And one thing that Faze were doing, you know, semi-consistently on their defensive side was some aggression, right? They were getting pretty aggressive. I mean, you can tell pretty much by this setup already that this is going to be a pretty aggressive setup, right? They're playing full retake C, they only have the chamber on A, and they have a lot of people in mid. And so what they're going to try and do is stun down here and then get Baby Bay out here and then do a double stun with the neon there as well. But Sentinels adapted to this pretty well. You can see Campeki, he is going to push up behind this box and get caught by the stun, but Tens is kind of further back and ready to swing, as you will see this play out here. So we get the stun coming in from the breach. There's Campeki, he does get caught by it, but you can see the Tens was further back down here, ready for this kind of play and ready to adapt to it. So Baby Bay, he's not expecting someone to swing out, so you see he gets his stun out, he's ready to push up on this person here, right? But instead Tens is right there. The flash does come in, but again, it's a bit too late because Tens has already decided to help his teammate out, and they get that first kill. Really nice start by Sentinels, and they adapted to this kind of aggression very nicely early on in this game, and that kind of, you know, is a big problem for Faze now. They're just in a 5v4. They have very little info, and it was a good start by Sentinels on the whole. And then as we run this round forward, we're going to see that they had more nice ideas on how to kind of, you know, figure out and disrupt Faze in their kind of aggression, because eventually what's going to happen is they're going to come back towards this A site and towards the chambers. We see the dog go down mid. You see Faze, they have, you know, very little info. Sentinels are giving very little away. They send in a knife here to clear early towards A, and then the chamber is actually going to miss the shot here. But Campeki, you know, you can see he decides to ult before really he misses the shot, Dicey. And this ult is really powerful because, you know, again, you're probably expecting that the chamber up will be down here, but now that you've got the KO ult and he can't TP out, there is no way for Dicey to cross here at all. So they are just going to spam him with utility now that they know that, right? Dapper does end up dying, but they send in the flash there from the Omen. The stun comes in as well. Raucus is going to TP across to the other side, turn around as you see there, and get the freest kill of his life. But whilst that's gone on as well, you know, and all this chaos is going on here, and you know, you imagine Dicey's like screaming for help and whatnot, Campeki has decided to run all the way up here. Obviously the chamber trap hasn't gone off either, and so Campeki has managed to get way further than I think these Faze players expect, and you can see he finds the kill on Superman there, who doesn't even fire a bullet back because he's so far up. Poised is going to be able to trade this out. I don't think Campeki maybe expected him to be so early, but then they're going to come from both sides of long here. You know, this is a terrible position for Poised to be in now, and his teammate can't help him because of the KO nade, so they managed to find these last 2 kills as well. Really nice round from Sentinels on the whole, and you see that they weren't playing particularly badly in this game. They had some really nice rounds and some nice ideas. And now let's come to round number 10, and even though in this round they are going to go to A, where you can see there's a big stack of Faze players, they are still going to make it work. And so let's take a look at how they do that. They're going to start off with this early knife, as you can see there, but a lot of pressure comes from Faze early on because they send down this breach stun, they send in the sky flash, and they get 2 players coming towards A long as well. So another aggressive setup by Faze here, but they managed to kind of just get past it. Eventually Tens sends up this smoke here, and he just goes running, right? And Tens, I think Haven is Tens' best map. He always seems to play pretty well on Haven, like for the longest time. And so he's able to just find Dicey there, just you know, he's just straight running with the knives and find that. And actually, Raucus has TP'd into Heaven as well in this corner. And so he's going to now, as Tens gets caught off by the neon, he's going to swing around and quickly get the kill back onto Baby Bay from Heaven. So they end up with this really nice little A-take, and now the space is there, and now Raucus has caused a massive problem. problem. He TP's out though, right? He doesn't stay there for longer than is warranted. He decides to TP out. This Sky now is probably, you know, not really knowing exactly where he might be. He could have gone to a lot of different locations, and Campeki is able to swing from long instead and catch off Poised as well. And so they end up with, again, a really, really nice little round coming out here. And then we've got Dapper, who's come past. The chamber obviously is dead, so he's come past the chamber trap and lurked around, and he's going to find this next one as well. Ends up with a bit of a shooting battle there with Flyer here on the breach, but eventually the cavalry will come around the corner and Raucous will finish it off. And again, another really nice attacking round from Sentinels. They get up to 7 here on round number 10. It was going pretty well for them early on. And now let's come to round 14, and Sentinels even managed to win the pistol round here on the defensive side, and Faze then decide to go for a force buy and try and win this second round here on round number 14. So let's take a look at how that goes for them. So we see the early knife there, and what's going to happen here is Faze are going to go for their B push, and their B push I think is really, really quite strong. I think it's one of the strongest things that they have. I think their B and C takes are really good on this map for Faze. So you see they get the Neon Wall in, they send in the Omen Flash, and well, we get a really nice KO nade here from Campeki that lands perfectly and really hurts Baby Bay. They start to do this thing where they, you know, flash down here as well for Baby Bay, right, to get a lot of space here on B and give them like a lot of control to get this spike down. I think they do this a lot better than a lot of other teams who try to basically just plant the spike and get out, whereas, you know, Faze really push you deep, and you can see kind of the reaction of, for instance, Shazam here. You know, he has to play super deep because he's really worried that someone could easily be in here, maybe even behind this box, because they pushed it so deep. So Faze sent in this flash here, but the thing is, Tens is coming on the flank, as you can see, and we're going to see the chamber nerf really come into effect here, because the chamber obviously only with one trap. When you're deciding to go B as the attackers here, you essentially just have to guess what side they're going to come up, and unfortunately for them this time, they guessed the wrong side, and Tens is going to come on the flank without, you know, anyone really knowing. So they send in the KO knife early on B. They're going to send down this Omen Flash here because it did catch the Omen, so they think the Omen might be back here. He isn't, and they start to come in onto the site, as you can see. But then we're going to start getting our first jewels, as Superman does get one, but then gets traded. They smoke off the spike as well. Baby Bay has managed to sneak himself in, but you can see they start getting the kills. Tens has managed to wrap around the back without anyone really realizing, and gets the free kill there on the chamber, and then also is going to no-scope the breach there, and it leaves Baby Bay just on the flank here. But as I said, the spike is smoked off, and there's 4 people still alive, so he never really had a chance. Really nice round from Sentinels again. We see the chamber nerf having a pretty big impact on that one as well, and yeah, they put themselves into a great situation, because now for this next round as well, Faze would be on a save, and they would go on to get the 10th round as well. And this game would even get to 12-7 at one point, but Faze would manage to win 5 rounds in a row to get it to overtime. And let's take a look at one of the rounds, a really funky little round that they played here in round number 21 to get it back to overtime. So it's 12-8 currently, round 21. But Faze are going to do something really, really interesting. They're going to have a really cool idea in this round. So they smoke off long there. They get the breach and the Omen down here early. Okay, they send the breach stun down there as well. And they want the breach in short here. And they're going to send these 2 players towards B, the Sky and the Neon. It's a really cool idea, because what they want to do is an A split that looks like this. Which is really quite funky and weird, and would catch people off guard pretty much. And they're going to use the breach ult to try and do it. But this round is going to be pretty chaotic. So you see the breach and the Omen are in position with the spike. They send in the Skydog here, the Neon wall. They send in the smoke down here as well. And the Neon is ready to run in behind the breach ult that comes in now, right? So you're going to breach ult down here. The Neon's going to run behind it. You guys are going to come around here as they probably get pushed across to them. Not really understanding what's going on, and a really nice idea overall from Faze. The problem that they have is, though, Campeki is, I'm pretty sure Baby Bay might stun himself there, but then Campeki is also going to send in this wonderful KO nade, which completely shuts down that idea. He then send in a KO knife pretty close as well to check no one is there as well, so he gets himself that space, and he's able to just kind of creep back up. And so Faze kind of end up in a weird position, right? Because they use this breach ult to try and clear this space, but Campeki has just completely shut it down, and so now the decision is, well, let's come back instead towards B, because they have B. It's a weird situation. They end up with a 1-for-1 trade there on Campeki, but yeah, they're just in a very odd spot now where their idea didn't work, but they decide, well, we are just on B, so they decide to just come there instead and plant the spike there. But now Sentinels are in a bit of a weird situation, because they don't really know what's happening down here. They don't really have eyes on this either at the moment. You know, there's been time for a lot of things to go on. So they have to be pretty careful about what is going to go on. Tens is going to peek out here, but just die to Poised and lose that fight. Shazam's flash, you know, was just a bit mistimed there with 10 speaking out, but he sends in this really nice stun that Dapper's gonna find a kill off, and Baby Bay gets stunned by it as well, and then they're gonna send in this really nice Omen flash coming from Garage that's also gonna catch Superman. They smoke off the spike. Unfortunately though, Baby Bay now has come out of the stun and is gonna be a real menace in their side. We see a nice slide there. He gets that one, and whilst he does get killed by Shazam, Flyer comes out of the smoke and trades that last kill as well. Really well played by Faze overall. Love the initial idea. It didn't quite go their way, so they came up with, you know, a nice plan instead, a quick adaptation to go to B instead, and a really nice round from them on the whole. But of course, this game would go to triple overtime, and so let's take a look at the last two rounds where Faze managed to win this game. And this one starts off pretty weirdly as well, to be honest, because we're going to get some early sparring towards A. And you're going to see, you know, a bit of utility, the Sky Flash, the KO knife, the smoke here early on. And Faze have 3 players on this A site. But as you can see, Sentinels are actually going to come towards C. And eventually they're going to destroy this chamber trap. And they're able to walk up extremely far without really seeing anyone, right? Like, the chamber trap gets destroyed, the sky does start to rotate, but there really isn't that much movement from Faze, and really this breach is in a pretty bad spot at this point, right? Like, this is not an ideal situation for this breach at all, and, you know, potentially he could die pretty easily without getting a trade, and Sentinels, you know, should get the C site. The problem that they have though is Tens, I don't know, maybe because they hadn't seen anyone here up to now, maybe they thought they were just playing full retake C, and they didn't expect anyone to be here, but Flyer is there, and Tens unfortunately loses that fight, you know, where he potentially could have just dashed on into the site, you know, with the smoke, maybe even seen Flyer as he was dashing, and, you know, Flyer probably would have had to just retreat because he was on his own, but anyway, they do manage to plant the spike on C, but we're going to see a really nice retake from Faze here. It starts with this control of early Garage. They feel like this could be a possibility because they gave it up obviously earlier on, so they send in a really nice flash there and get the first kill. They do get suppressed by Kampeki's knife, but they're just going to wait now. They're just going to wait. They're all here to play together. They wait out the KO nade as well, and now that the utility is starting to come back, they're going to do this really nice retake. So Sky Flash in early, Breach Stun comes down, Neon Wall comes in as well, Omen Flash, right? The Neon Stuns are really well placed, the Aftershock, it all comes in at once, and they're able to find these kills eventually as Raucous tries to TP out there but isn't quite quick enough, and then they find Kampeki on the trade as well and manage to defuse the spike. Really nice retake from Faze. Maybe could have gone a different way, you know, if they do manage to isolate that breach and get that kill. Unfortunately, it didn't go their way, and Faze managed to win the round. And I said Sentinels will be kicking themselves, and this is definitely a round that they will want back. Round number 30 to win the game for Faze, because it starts out very well for Sentinels. Faze are just going to come for an A play, but Tens with an op here, a naked op obviously on the overtime rounds. He's going to find the first kill on Poise, so they end up straight away in this 5v4, and well, Faze do come onto the site pretty quick, but Tens is able to dash out, and okay, we're in a 5v4. Everything, you know, is perfectly fine. We're just going to play retake. You know, all is well really for Sentinels here. They're a man up. They should feel like, you know, they can win this situation pretty easily. So the spike does go down, and actually the smoke is going to fade just here. So there was a smoke here, but it's just faded, so Tens is able to, with the up, get the second kill as well, and we end up in a 3v5. The thing is, from this point in a 5v3, Sentinels are going to find another kill, and Faze are going to manage to win the game. So let's take a look at how it happens. Well, they smoke off long, which is perfectly fine, of course, and well, they have Shazam here, and it looks like they're almost ready to start this retake. They're just going to wait for Kampeki to get his knife back, which is absolutely fine, probably the right thing to do. But whilst that's happening, Shazam dies here to Baby Bay, kind of swinging out on him here, and he's just being able to be seen and dies, which obviously is a bit of a problem, but it's still a 4v3, right? This still should be okay for Sentinels on the whole. The thing is, and what we're going to see in this retake is, whilst there is a 4v3, it's basically going to end up being like 2 3v2s. You'll see what I mean, because what they're going to do is they are going to send in the KO knife, and they're going to send in the KO flash as well. They have an Omen flash to work with as well, and so they send in the knife, as you can see here. This is going to suppress the chamber and tell them the chamber's towards short. They send in the Omen flash, as you can see there, and everything is working well, right? The only thing at this point is Raucous is about to get another smoke back, and so he is going to take the time to put up this extra smoke here as his teammates are already coming out, and so that's going to make him a bit isolated from the rest of the team. Okay, and the thing is as well, Tens only has an op with no shields, so he's just going to stay back here and hold the push, right? Which isn't necessarily the worst idea in the world, but you'll see what I mean, that this ends up kind of being two 3v2s essentially, because Dapper and Kampeki are going to come out. You see Tens just holding that angle there. So Kampeki dies to Dicey with no trade. Then Dapper dies here with no trade available. And then these two come out as well with Tens and Raucous, right? So we ended up basically in a 3v2 and then another 3v2. And then they both lose those fights as well. And Faze take the round. So a bit uncoordinated there. Not even necessarily uncoordinated. Just, you know, kind of not all going as that team. You know, Raucous taking that extra time to put the smoke up, which again isn't necessarily the wrong idea. It's just a bit too late for where they were in the round. And ultimately Faze managed to take this last round and win the match. And that might be it for Sentinels. We'll have to see. A pretty disappointing end. They very easily could have won this map. They very easily could have won this match, because the first map was also very close. They could have won this 2-0 pretty easily, you know, with just a couple rounds going in a different way. So it was definitely a frustrating day if you are a Sentinels fan, and who knows what the future holds for this roster, because this could be the end, right? This could be the last meaningful game that this roster plays together.